What's up guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be introducing you to the box model, margin, and padding. Now this is the CSS box model, and it's basically a model that represents an element, or you could say it's a box that wraps around every HTML element, and it consists of the content, which would be the elements. So if I make an H1, that would be the content, and then we have the padding, and then outside the padding we have the border. So if we add a border, this is what the border would be, and then outside the border we have the margin, and the margin would be this gray area right here. And so if you want to find that box model, then what you would do is find an element, right click, hit inspect, and you would open the developer console, and then you're going to want to go to styles right here, scroll down, and it should be at the very bottom. There we go. And so it says 80 by 80 here, and it should say something different for you. But what this basically mean is that would be the width and height. And so the value on the left, that would be the width, and the one on the right would be the height. And so outside of it, we have the padding. And so right now it's set to nothing. So we're going to have this line right here. Same thing with the border and the margin. And so if I actually change this a bit, so let's say I set the, I don't know, margin to 20 pixels. That's going to be the margin top. I'll change it to just margin. And then we have the padding. Let's set that to 10 pixels. Let's set the border too. So I'll do 2 pixels solid black lavender, sure. And now if we scroll down, then you're gonna see all of these values change. So I'm gonna go over what everything here is and what they do. Now let's start by creating an H1, and I'll just do this. So intro to box model, and of course you can set it to something different. So box model, and open it with live server, and there we go. And I've actually opened this with live server, with the developer console, and scroll down, then you're gonna see that it's gonna be the box model for this heading, and you're gonna see that the margin is already set. And the reason for that is because every element has its own default values, and if we actually take a look, then you're going to see that, so the margin start, or the margin block start, is set to 0.67 EMs, and this doesn't really matter, but that just means that the margin is set to, it's not set to 0 basically. And so if I actually set it to 0, so margin 0, then the margin is going to be 0 for our heading. But if we actually take a look at the body, then the margin here is set to 8 pixels, which is why when people create new projects, they would usually select everything and set the margins to 0, and same thing with the paddings. And so if I actually do that now and take a look back, reload, then you're going to see that everything is going to be at the top left of the screen. If I go back to our H1 and inspect it, then you're going to see that I haven't changed anything here. And so you can see that we have the content here, and then we have the padding. So I'm going to go in order. Now, what would happen if I change the padding? Let's set it to 10 pixels. Well, nothing really happened. All you saw was the text move. Now, to make this make more sense, I'm going to actually change the background color of our H1. So let's do background, and I'm going to pick random colors. So let's do green, and then we go back. And now I want to change it again. So we go here, padding, 10 pixels. Then what's going to happen is you're going to see this element getting bigger. So what happens when you add padding? Well, basically, padding, it just generates space around the content. So the content would be our text. So what it did is it just added space between the border and the content. So you can actually change the different side that you're going to want to add the padding to. So if you only want to add this 10 pixels padding to our top, then you can do that. And what it would do is it would just add padding here. So it just added 10 pixels on top of our text. And if I do padding left, then it will do the exact same thing, but for the left. So I can set this to bigger, smaller, it doesn't matter. And that's basically what the padding does. So if you don't want to change the width and height, so let's say I want the height to be 200 pixels, you don't have to do that because it's not a good idea. So you're not going to be able to set this in the middle here easily. And to do that, you could just do, so we could just set the padding to 200 pixels. That's too much. Let's do 40 pixels. We could do 50 pixels. And now we can just set the text line to center. And there we go. So now it's centered. And we can keep making this bigger, and so on. So now I'm going to show you what the border is because it goes after the padding. So I'm going to set the border to 5 pixels solid. Let's do dark. I don't know, dark red. Dark red. And now if we go down, then you can see that the border is set to 4.8, which I set it to 5 pixels, but I don't know what's happening here. Anyway, so what's the thing that's highlighted now? That's going to be the border, and now that's going to be the content. And so if we add the padding, set it to 10 pixels, you can see that the padding is going to be the space that's between our text and the border. So that's the padding, and then the border, that would be the red lines outside the content. And so I'm going to show you what the margin is. So I'm going to set the margin to, I'll do 10 pixels too. And so what it is, it just adds space around our content. So this right here, all of this, so the content itself, so the text, that would be the padding, our text, and the border combined. And so outside of it, that would be the margin, and so that's just space around our content. So if I add another content, so let's say I had 2 paragraphs, actually no, I had 2 spans. So 1, 2, I'll just set this one to span 1, and then this one to span 2. And I wanted to space them out more. Well, what I could do is I'll actually just set the background. So do it quick. So background, color, let's do this one. I'll go back now. So let's say I wanted to add some space between them. Well, what I could do is I select the one on the left, and I'm going to add margin right, which is going to add margin to the right of our content. So if I set this to 10 pixels, then you're going to see our span 2 move to the right because we just added some space right here. So you could see this light orange right here, and that would be the margin. So so we could do the same thing with this one. So if I actually select our span 2 and set the margin left to, let's say, 30 pixels, then you're going to see it move to the right because we just added margin left, and you can see the margin, and that would be the light orange. And so let's actually play around a bit. So I'm going to set the padding here to, let's do 20 pixels, and you're going to see it go over our H1. So what I will do is add margin bottom. So margin bottom, whoops, margin bottom. I'm going to add 50 pixels, and you're going to see these 2 spans go down. And so I'll go over it again. So I'm going to actually select our H1 this time. Didn't mean to click that. So if I set the padding, that's going to be the space around our text. So if I do, let's just do padding in general. So padding 40 pixels, you're going to see that we added 40 pixels on top of our text, to the left and right of our text, and then to the bottom. So we have 40 pixels of space here, 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 and here. And that's going to be the padding. And so if I set the margin now, so let's say I just wanted to add margin, margin top, let's set it to 20 pixels, then you're going to see our H1 go down. And what would happen is, if we just remove the margin here, then it's going to go back to what it usually is, and that's going to be 8 pixels. And the reason it's really spaced out is because I zoomed out a lot. That's what it would look like. But basically, this is the default margin, and that's going to be 8 pixels. So that's why people usually just set it to 0. But yeah, now that you know what the padding, the margin, and borders are, play around to get a better understanding on what they do and how they work. And it's going to be for this video. Bye guys, so thanks for watching. Like this video if you liked it. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions or video requests. Sub to the channel for more content like this, and see you in the next video.